everybody. Welcome to Square Off. I'm Jimmy Mathis, sitting in for Richard Sher. Jam-packed panel today, starting out with Darlene Kennedy, an attorney, Tonya Bana, also an attorney, Jovani Patterson, political activist, and Andy Frank, former deputy mayor. A lot to get to today, guys. Starting out with Justin Tucker being released from the Baltimore Ravens last week. Going into OTAs, into the preseason, a lot of people kind of saw this coming. Ravens executive vice president and general manager Eric DeCosta. I was going to read the whole statement, actually, because it was a very short statement for the GOAT of place kickers in the NFL. I'll sum it up. The statement basically was best luck in all of your future endeavors. DeCosta saying that this was a football decision. A lot of people reading in between the lines on this. Let's kick it off with Darlene. What are your thoughts?
I don't have a problem with him being released. I think that his job is to represent his team in a very clean way, quote unquote, as they say. And he shouldn't just as it happened before. I don't have a problem with it, the bottom line for me.
Tanya?
So, I haven't followed football since they iced out Colin Kaepernick. So, are we to assume that this is connected to allegations of misconduct that have been made against him by some women? Is that what this is about?
Yeah.
Bana.
Well, look, this stuff happens in the NFL. The NFL is not for long for it's called not for long for a reason. But all these high profile players, they're all involved with stuff, and a lot of the teams in the NFL covers it up until you're no longer useful. And Justin Tucker was a fan favorite, so we saw, what was coming out. He missed a few kicks, and this, there was just reason justifiable for him to be released now. I said it on the show before. It's just it's allowing the public perception to be okay with the release of Justin Tucker because he was a fan favorite, and that's exactly why they didn't really mention the allegations in the release, saying it's a football decision, because the court of public opinion is in full session right now.
And Andy Frank.
Yeah, I think the statement was clearly written by lawyers and public relations experts. In this case, though, I think the actions speak louder than the words. I mean, even without the NFL report, the criminal charges, or the civil lawsuits, the Ravens released Tucker, and it wasn't because his field goal percentage dropped to 73%. It was because of the allegations. But I think it's interesting, though, this whole thing really speaks to the fragility of hero worship. He was a fan favorite, and people are having a hard time dealing with everything and understanding their thoughts about how to sort of process the whole thing of someone like Justin Tucker falling from grace.
Well, it just shows that. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jim.
Well, no, I was just going to ask the question, and that's a lot of people are asking this question right now. You look at a variety of players in the NFL that have done a lot worse, that have survived. There are not even charges that have been brought against Tucker yet. I mean, there's a lot of accusations and allegations, but there have been no official charges. Is there some hypocrisy within the NFL on this?
I'd say they've been pretty consistent, right? It's called not for long for a reason. When you're no longer useful, but you're a fan favorite, they have to find a way to get rid of you. Like that's the bottom line of the NFL.
Tanya?
Well, I mean, I think I agree somewhat with what you're saying, but let's be clear. There are people who manage to make it through life without being accused of sexual misconduct. That actually is in fact, I would say that a lot of men have not been accused of sexual misconduct. This idea that any rich, powerful man is going to become a target of false accusations is something that we've got to debunk. It's just simply not true. I do think that I know from past experience with practicing law for over 25 years now. There are certainly investigations are often impacted. The outcomes are often impacted by how valuable the person that's being investigated is. And so I'm sure that there is a indirect relationship between how good the person is on the field and how hard they work to keep you.
And Tanya, I want to run with that for a second, because you look at Tucker. He had a horrible season last year. He was missing. You go from hitting 66-yard field goals to missing extra points. Ray Rice, when he went through his thing with the Ravens, I think rushed for about 600 yards. And that's what's coming into question right now. They're saying it's a football decision. They have the ability to make that argument. If Tucker was nailing 60-yarders, would he still be on the team?
Well, timing is everything. And, I'm not an expert in football per se, but I do love the Ravens since they've been there. And I think that he wasn't doing as well as he should have. It's time to move on. It's a new generation. And it's just incidental that people are saying X, Y, and Z. I mean, like I said, timing is it means everything, and it gives people an opportunity to make a perception of something that maybe is or is not true.
Yeah.
And Tonya, you're bringing up, and I'm going to throw it to you in 1 second here. Tanya's bringing it up as far as how the investigation goes moving forward. I don't know exactly what that looks like, if it's even possible, but it's still a cloud over Tucker's head. Andy, can he get a job in the NFL while all this is swarming around him?
Well, no, I don't think so. But on the other hand, I think with norms changing in America based on leadership in this country, people view these kinds of things differently. So, who knows whether someone who was accused of these things could show up working somewhere else. I think it will be interesting to see. We will probably hear soon that he will be dropped as a spokesperson for Royal Farm, no doubt, having no longer playing for the Ravens. And I'm just glad I'm in a profession where 35 years old is not considered old. So,
but in the NFL, it kind of is.
Yeah,
And
right.
you're talking about Royal Farms. Unless I'm missing something, I haven't seen him representing Royal Farms since all this broke. I mean, the man livelihood has been stripped away from him. So, I mean, moving forward, does he have an opportunity to be a spokesperson for anything?
No.
Before any official charges have been brought against the man.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting that no criminal or civil charges have been filed. But really, what's going to happen, the NFL report will be the one that is determinative. And then that, I imagine civil or criminal charges might follow that, but it's too early to conclude that.
And I'll throw this back to Darlene and Tonya. You guys are both attorneys. Do any charges come out of these allegations?
Well, it has to be Well, I'm sorry to jump in. I was just going to say it has to be investigated. These individuals have or may hire attorneys to start that process. Again, we don't know the facts other than some allegations have been made by some individuals. So, it may go dry and find that nothing happened. And then you turn around and say, well, can he get another job if he's found innocent, quote unquote? I don't know.
So I'm asking this question as a novice. I'm not an attorney. I don't know a whole lot about the law. These accusations are between 2012, 2016. We're pushing a long time ago. I don't know how an investigation even looks in this, right? I mean, it's he said, she said. How much of an investigation can you even have?
How many people have made? Do we know how many people have made accusations against him?
It's more than, I was going to say it's more than 10. It's a lot, right? But that's the other question. But all I'm saying, Tonya, that by itself isn't evidence, is it?
That's the point that I want to make. Is like this is easy. Criminal burden of proof very high. Anybody can file a lawsuit, a civil lawsuit, and seek damages. Very, very low bar. In my experience, you don't get accused of sexual misconduct by a double-digit number of people unless you're out there doing something inappropriate. I mean, and so it depends on what the question is and what the form is, whether that should matter. But you're not going to be accused of sexual misconduct falsely 10 times. It just doesn't happen. It's not worth it.
I think this is what happens in America. We have heroes, they fall from grace, and then they work their way back. They show contrition, they do things, and then ultimately they might find themselves in another position. Just real quickly, Ray Rice, interestingly, is now the head coach for my high school in Baltimore, Milford Mill High School. So people return after things that they've done and having fallen from grace.
Well, and Andy, that's a very good point. That the Ravens are not immune to this. I mean, at the beginning of their franchise, they had issues with Ray Lewis, then Ray Rice, now Justin Tucker. Yet when it's all said and done, they've done a pretty good job of having that clean image as an organization.
All the Ray Rice and Ray Lewis, they're back and they're in good graces of fans in Baltimore.
Jovani?
Look, like I said, all this stuff happens in the NFL all the time. Like Tanya, I don't disagree with you that men can make it through life without being accused of sexual assault. But we are talking about a culture of athletes. I've been an athlete before. I've been in the locker rooms, and I know some of the things that have go on that that you wouldn't want going on. Um, but Justin Tucker will be fine. He won't get a job with the Ravens. He'll get a job probably somewhere else that needs a kicker. Look what the Browns did when they hired Deshaun Watson. He had cases out the wazoo. He actually had filed charges out the wazoo, and they made him the highest paid quarterback in the league. So you can find another job, just maybe not with the Ravens. Again, all the Ravens were doing were opening up the court of public opinion so they could justify the release of Justin Tucker. Otherwise, it would have been public outrage. Baltimore is not like a player dominant town. What I mean by that is that you don't see billboards of Lamar Jackson up. You don't see billboards of as Ravens up on the streets. When you go to Charlotte or Atlanta, you'll see their main players on the billboards. Baltimore is a real cultural football town where the fans get attached from a family kind of feel to the players. So all they had to do, all they were doing was opening up the court of public opinion to justify the release of Justin Tucker.
All right, guys, we're going to take a quick break. On the other side, we're going to switch over to local politics. It looks like Governor Moore will have a challenger in the upcoming Democrat primary. But right now, let's go to Howard, the voice of Square Off. Howard, how's it going?
Thank you, Jimmy. Excuse me. The law firm of Barry Glazer specializes in personal injury, medical malpractice, and nursing home neglect. His creative commercials, TV commercials, have made him very recognizable because Barry tells it like it is. He has an in-house doctor, he has a nurse on staff. In fact, you should call Barry before you even call the insurance company. Barry gets you top dollar from the insurance company. He's that good. So give the law firm of Barry Glazer a call at 410-547-8568. Let them know you heard about them on Square Off. And with so many cars on the road and distracted drivers everywhere, auto accidents are happening. And if you've experienced an accident, the insurance companies can't tell you where to take your car. That's why more and more drivers are trusting their auto repairs and maintenance to leading edge auto body and mechanical repair. They work on all makes and models and offer free pickup and delivery anywhere in the Baltimore area. Call them at 410-443-6433 or visit them at 5807 Falls Road in the heart of Mount Washington. They make your car look and run like new again. Now back to you, Jimmy.
Thank you, Howard. Our Governor Wes Moore is still polling at above 50%, even though has backslid over the last 2 months. There's been a lot of speculation whether he is putting together a run for the presidency, probably will run for governor again. Ed Hale, owner of the Baltimore Blast, former CEO and founder of First Mariner Bank, came out this past week holding a press conference at his Spurs Point childhood home, saying that he's basically throwing his hat in the name as a Democrat. Larry Hogan, there's been speculation whether he would seek nomination. We don't know if he would run as a Republican, a Democrat, independent, depending on what circles you're in. Larry Hogan's possibility of running as a gubernatorial candidate are kind of all over the place. How realistic is it for Ed Hale to possibly unseat sitting incumbent that right now is still polling above 50%? Started out with Darlene Kennedy. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think the governor has been doing a great job. He's not perfect. And if you're asking at this moment, do I think if they were neck to neck in a race, who would win? I would say that Mr. Hill would not. And I just hate to see people popping up. And it's not just here in Maryland, but all over the country. Our politics are just so sometimes strange to me. And someone just pops out and says, hey, I want to run for this. Yes, this is America and anyone can run for anything, but there used to be a system. You came from this maybe city politics to state politics. And what we're seeing is people just jumping into spots, as they will. But nevertheless, to answer your question, I think Westmore at this point, unless he does something egregious, will be governor for the next term.
Tonya, let me ask you a question. And Westmore has not done anything egregious. There is some frustration with the budget and with some taxes and fee increases. Keep again, in mind, Ed's running as a Democrat, but there is a feeling out there, which you really can't get away from, that Westmore is focusing on the presidency right now. He's doing a lot of traveling. He was on The View. Is there a concern, even if you like the job that Westmore is doing, that he's not in it for the long haul, that he has higher aspirations? Is that a concern of the voters out there?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a concern. I mean, I've somewhat checked out of politics, I think for obvious reasons, well, reasons that will be obvious to some. But when I do occasionally check in at what's happening, there's a lot of issues that need to be addressed. And obviously the governor is very talented, incredibly smart guy who can do multiple things at the same time. But I just think I think it's bad brand management. I think his team is not helping him preserve the high that he's been on, or that he was on when he was first elected. And I think especially because there are a lot of people in the state that are struggling and that are dealing with the fallout of some decisions that have been made at the federal level. I just don't think the optics are good for him to appear to be not giving 100%. And I'm not saying that he's not giving 100%, but again, I'm talking about the optics of it. I don't think it's good. I don't actually think it undermines his future aspirations to the extent he wants to run for president.
And Mr. Patterson, I'll throw this out to you. Do you think Larry Hogan jumps back in this? A lot of people, they don't think that he can run for a third quote unquote term. This is governor, not president. There's not a two-term limit. You can't run a third consecutive term. So Larry Hogan absolutely could run. The question has been, would he run as a Republican, a Democrat, or an independent? What are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, Larry Hogan's pretty much forming his own party at this point, which, maybe not be a bad thing. But, regarding people, I did want to respond to something Miss Darlene said when she was referring to people just popping out of nowhere. Well, where did Wes Moore come from? I mean, he wasn't on the local council. He wasn't mayor or anything like that before. He popped out of nowhere and became governor of Maryland. When it's time for the election, I think what happens oftentimes when it comes to election is people have short memories. We don't remember what happened in 2025 or 2024 when it comes time to have these elections. But I do think when it comes, time for the primary in a couple of years, there will be a lot different of a feel because people are feeling it in their wallets, in their pockets, and you see businesses leaving. I mean, when you have a sitting delegate saying that they're moving their business out of the state, and they're in support of the budget and the tax hikes that have happened in Maryland, you start to get that little disconnect of, well, really, who is the governor protecting? So I think it's always open, and it's always good to see challengers. And civic engagement is one of the fundamental principles of my belief system. And I think anybody should run, and you should campaign on a solid platform and throw your hat in the ring. So, I commend Mr. Hell for what he's trying to do and let the people decide.
Yeah. And look, I mean, you could, whether you like Trump or you hate Trump, reality is the presidency was the first election that Donald Trump won. And Andy, I'll throw this to you. Ed Hale is running on really an economic platform. He brought up in his press conference, we just lost Six Flags. McCormick has flown out the possibility of them leaving. The Commanders are leaving Landover. They're heading back to where RFK used to be. Running as a Democrat, is the economy and taxes, is that a winning path?
Well, I have to confess, I'm fairly parochial when I judge the effectiveness of governors. I really care about Baltimore, and Westmore has been great for Baltimore. Ed Hale, interestingly, has also been good for Baltimore. He built his company here, moved his headquarters here when First Mariner was here. He lived in Baltimore, but I don't think that the evidence would bear out that the Maryland economy is suffering under Westmore. In fact, Baltimore City grew in population for the first time in the last 30 years. and the state is doing as well as it did under a Republican administration. So, yeah, I mean, Westmore is under the sort of adage of do no harm. He's done no harm. I don't think there's been any egregious errors. And by the way, I don't think that being distracted about the possibility of running for president has any consequence in terms of how government is run. He has very, very good people surrounding him, secretaries and others all the way down the line. And those are the ones that get the work done. And if he's thinking about running for president, I think ultimately that bodes well for Maryland.
So look, and I'll throw this out to anybody that wants to jump in on it. Is it a mistake for Westmore to keep denying this? Andy, to your point, if he just comes out and he goes, "Look, I am focused on Maryland. I always have been. If you're asking me, am I possibly looking in the future at a presidential run? Of course I am." Is he painting himself into some sort of box by continuing to deny that he is possibly seeking the presidency?
It's the game. It's what everyone does. It's the game. It's the playbook. They have to say I'm focused on Maryland, but everybody knows. It's just what everybody does.
Jovani, you were trying to jump in there. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say a similar sentiment. I mean, he's playing the field. I mean, he's a I guess charming guy. He speaks well, and people like him. But when it comes to the policy and effect, like Maryland is struggling right now. I mean, the taxes and the fees and everything that is about to happen, come June and August and October. I know those months aren't in a row, but what's coming down the pike isn't good. And when you see these businesses leaving, when you see jobs fleeing the state because it's no longer economically friendly and economically viable for them to thrive here, you have to question, is Maryland just a stepping stone, and is it a stepping stone at no matter who gets hurt, which is a lot of everyday ordinary Marylanders.
Jovani,
right, guys,
what jobs are leaving the state?
Man, you just heard the list. I mean, McCormick's
they're not leaving
leave.
the state. They just built their headquarters, and they're building a headquarters at the Goucher. That's Whiting Turner's building their headquarters at the Goucher campus. McCormick just built their headquarters recently in Hunt Valley. The move of the commanders is really actually a good thing for Washington, D.C. We actually can wish our neighboring city well. It's good for them. It's good for cities to have their sports teams playing there. So what jobs have actually left or are leaving the state?
Again, the jobs are not coming here, and they're leaving. I mean, the very ones you just mentioned are looking to leave the state and go to more tax-friendly, economic-friendly climate. So I'm not sure whose side you're on this, or if you're on Maryland side, or if you're on DC side.
I'd like to go by the evidence, and I haven't seen a list of major companies that are leaving the state of Maryland.
Guys, everybody hold tight. Hold tight. We're gonna reset this on the other side. Let's go ahead and take a quick break. The voice of Square Off with Howard. Howard, how you doing?
Thanks. Doing fine. Dr. Kelly Gagan is a well-respected, board-certified podiatrist and heel specialist. Foot problems can happen at any age. Excuse me. Getting over a cold. And Dr. Gagan knows that the appearance of your feet matter just as much as correcting any problem that you may be experiencing. And if unsightly toenails embarrass you to wear sandals or open-toed shoes, you may be a candidate for laser treatments that can solve this issue. They're safe, painless, and they go right to the cause. And believe me, over-the-counter treatments don't work. So give Dr. Gagan a call at 410-753-4422 to set up an appointment. Baltimore is a great diner town, and the Double T Diners are always voted #1 in reader polls. TT stands for totally terrific. For breakfast, lunch, or dinner, you can't beat the enormous menu selection that will bring you back again and again. There's Double T locations on Route 40 West, Perry Hall, White Marsh, Bel Air, Laurel, Annapolis, Pasadena, and the EC Diner in Ellicott City. Plus, try By the Docks in Middle River for their Monday night lobster special. All part of the Double T family. Tell them you heard about them on Square Off. Back to you, Jimmy.
Guys, I want to continue the conversation for a second. As far as businesses leaving, we had brought up McCormick. They had floated that out there. The commanders going back to DC. There have been a lot of small businesses, especially in the service industry sector, that have shut down. You look at Nacho Mamas, you look at Mothers on Federal Hill. Small businesses have been finding it tougher and tougher to get by at the same time where we have a state that continues to increase taxes, fees, however you want to categorize that. Um, I'll leave it up to the student body who wants to take this, but is there an opportunity for this state to become more business friendly? I mean, we are losing small businesses in this state.
Well, I mean, Jimmy, I can't answer the question that you just posed, but I just wanted to, in response to Andy's comments about, I think you said you're focused on Baltimore. There are a lot of people in Baltimore who are struggling, and just for just the reasons that Jimmy picked off, the increases in fees. I mean, our gas and electric bill, it was like a mortgage. And thankfully, we can pay our gas and electric bill, but there are people who are having to make decisions between medication and, having the lights on and food. So, I think it's important to realize that whatever our individual realities may be, there are other people who are having a different experience. And I do think that there are a lot of people who are being impacted by the kind of chaos that's happening for a variety of reasons.
Yeah,
Guys, I've only got about 5 minutes left. I do want to get to this last topic. Donald Trump has floated out the idea of paying $1,000 to migrants to leave voluntarily. He's also talked about the baby bonus of $5,000, something that's been floated around here at the state level. Anybody that wants to kick it off?
Yeah, I'd like to. I mean, Donald Trump has Elon Musk screaming in his ear that civilization will end unless women in this country have more babies. And the low birth rate is what's keeping Elon Musk awake at night, and by extension, Donald Trump. And there are a lot of social and financial factors that contribute to it. And it's true that like a slowing birth rate can lead to a shrinking workforce, like a depleted consumer base. So there are real issues with it. But I don't expect that or suspect that these issues are what's driving Trump and Musk. I mean, Musk preaches that a low birth rate will end civilization as we know it. And these financial issues or concerns from the low birth rate can be averted, in fact, by a comprehensive immigration reform, by bringing more people into the city. Trump wants to tell his followers that all immigrants are evil, they're murderers, they're rapists, they're insane, they're gang members. This is an absurd lie. Immigrants pay taxes, they take jobs that Americans don't want, they commit fewer crimes, they go to church more than Americans. A growing country that could be done through increased birth rate and also a more comprehensive approach to accepting immigrants will actually address the economic issues of a lower birth rate.
Tonya?
It's interesting. Yeah, I agree with you that Donald Trump is not doing any of the things that he's doing because of the reasons he says. So yeah, I certainly agree with that.
Darlene?
Well, I was going to say, look at the role models that Musk and the person sitting at 1600 have. They seem to have a love of Nazism, of the German way of thinking, and then talking about we need more babies. China's short of children because of the birth rate there. I have to say, as a former Republican, now kind of independent person, it's ludicrous. And he throws stuff out. It's like, a 5-year-old, let me try this and see if it works, and maybe I won't get spanked for it. And it just, it's a distraction from what they're really doing. And if we really look and see what they're really doing, closing up, SAID and all these other organizations, messing with the Department of Education. I mean, there was a time when, the executive branch really did stay away from bothering with the government, but now we see different.
Can I just say that what's interesting is that, I was in a dark moment. I remember that I really liked Donald Trump when he had the Celebrity Apprentice show. And I was like, maybe it'll make me feel better about the country if I go watch an old episode of the Celebrity Apprentice. And it did make me feel better. But what I realized is that Donald Trump he's always been the same person he is right now. He was talking about getting 25% from everybody around him, 15 years ago. I mean, his mindset is very much been set for 20 years. And this is a grift. There's no question. He's just lining his pockets. The question is just how much damage will he be able to do before he's removed or he leaves office, if he leaves office.
And Jovani, I will give you the last word.
So I can't believe what I'm hearing. Or maybe I can. But look, let's talk about you talked about the self-deportation, money to migrants. Let's look at how much money was given to them to be here illegally. And let's see what can happen with that $1,000 is given. Honestly, it takes money to leave, so you have to gas up your car. So that's money going back to local gas stations. You have to either buy plane tickets, so that's money going back into the airlines. And so given and to deport an illegal person in the country, it's about $17,000. So it's actually a saving to the art of the deal at work here. And when you talk about the $5,000 baby bonus, I mean, why aren't we promoting healthy families, right? Intact families is the number one, predictor of future success when it comes to education, crime, and safety, those type of things. And my whole belief is we need to bring the idea of family back. Instead, we incentivize, largely destructive behaviors, single parenthood, single motherhood, and these type of things. And these things often get incentivized. And I understand they were designed initially to help, but now have really been taken advantage of to be this vast system that quite frankly needs to be broken.
And with that, guys,
Can we get one more quick point?
With that, we are out of time, everybody.
That was it.
Real quick, go ahead. 10 seconds. Go ahead.
I think Trump's true intentions were revealed last week when he announced plans to use taxpayer money to resettle white Afrikaners who own 72% of the land in South Africa because they're being persecuted. Nowhere else in this country, in this world, can you come to the United States having been persecuted, except from South Africa. I'll leave that out there for all of us to think about.
Do you believe all the lies you tell yourself?
I can prove it to you.
I'm just asking. If you believe all the lies you tell yourself.
And you want to talk about families? What about cutting Head Start? What about cutting Section 8 vouchers? What about eliminating the earned income, the child tax credit, which was the most effective way to reduce poverty ever in America? Ending the tax credit. Ending Head Start, ending every program that makes families able to go to work and raise their children. This is what this administration is doing, so they can give tax breaks to the billionaires' friends of Donald Trump.
Like I said, do you believe all the lies that you tell yourself?
And guys,
that's all I'm asking.
It looks like we have a whole rundown for the next show, Howard, right? Thank you very much, everybody, for your time. You can catch Square Off every week at
Square Off. Check it out, Jovani.
Check out squareoff.net every week. Thank you, everybody, very much for your time. Everybody have a great weekend. Go O's. We need a little pitching. Go O's. Take care. See you next time. Bye.
Bye.